Hey everybody, welcome to the Flyin Miata Garage. My name is Kyle, and today we're going to go over the installation of this 9 Lives big Wang kit that we're going to put on Andy, our 2016 shop car. Alright, let's go ahead and cover the components of the kit. We're going to start off with this 68-inch extruded aluminum airfoil. Got the basic end plates that measure 8 by 10, the ND specific uprights, got the supplied hardware, as well as a little bit of hardware that is included in the packaging. Make sure and don't throw them away. Now let's go over what you're going to need to complete this installation. Starting at my right, we have a straight edge, improvised straight edge, and a level. This is for setting your angle of attack. We have some RTV sealant for making sure water's not going to leak into your trunk. Masking tape to make sure you're not going to scratch all your paint. Marking devices. Loctite for your bolts. Now we're going to need 10 and 11 millimeter wrenches, sockets, whatever you need, as well as an 1/8 inch Allen bit. Going to need some drills. I actually have 2 here. Little impact driver, it's a little faster than a ratchet. As far as drill bits, I have a little guy, 7/64, just for drilling pilot holes. Not real important on the size, but just small. 1/4 inch bit for drilling the holes for the M6 bolts that mount the wing. And I've got a big 1/2 inch guy, as big as you can get for in most kits. That is for opening up the holes on the bottom side of the trunk lid, and you'll see that later. Tape measure for making sure things are centered. We've got a rotary aluminum grinder. You can use a file or a Dremel for the same purpose. Again, just for opening the holes on the underside of the trunk lid, which you'll see later. Got just a little edge reamer for cleaning up those holes. Since we're using air tools and drills, safety glasses, ear protection. All right, before I begin, there are a number of ways this install can likely be done. I'm going to just cover the way that I would do it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to begin by mounting the uprights to the wing. And the reason I'm going to do that is it gives me just a solid foundation of where the mounts are likely going to be positioned on the car, so I can know where to mask and where to drill. We are going to mount these on the inside. That's how it's shown in the images, and that will likely give us the best clearance on the ribbing on the inside of the trunk. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and install the wing mounts. So in terms of position, we want the 9 Lives icon and this not quite 90-degree flange to be pointing toward the outside of the wing. And we want the upright to be positioned inside of the wing mount. And we're going to just match up the profile, single bolt in the rear, multi-bolts in the front, and get it installed. So I got the back bolt loosely installed. Let me go over what I'm going to do here on the front. Now the front allows you to adjust. That adjusts your angle of attack. Right now I'm not too worried about that. My goal is just to make sure that they are even side to side so we can continue with the installation. So I'm going to just pick a set of holes and just make sure when I go to do the other side that I choose the same 2 holes. All right, let's go ahead and take care of the other side. Now you might have noticed the hardware used does have serrations on its flanges. That will do a pretty good job of making sure they're locked into place. I like to use a little bit of blue Loctite. I haven't done it yet because we're still going to make some adjustments. I'll go ahead and do that once we have everything in its final position. All right, now we're ready to take this over to the car and figure out where we need to put our masking tape so we can actually set it on the car. So we'll kind of use this as a guide, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put these on first. So as you can see, I already got a little bit of a head start. I already have my tape down, but if this is your first time, you could kind of hold it into position and see where the tape would need to go. All right, as you can see, I've got the wing held up here. So I've went ahead and made sure that the forward foot of the wing mount is flat on the trunk lid. And then I got the back here resting in place. Now I found the best way to make sure that you're centered is to reference these flanges on the back to the corner of the trunk lid. Now, to have everything flat, I do have about 3/16 of an inch. The flange is sitting above the lower line of the trunk lid, and we have roughly 1/4 of an inch to the corner there. And if we come over to this side, we just want to make sure that we have about the same amount. I went ahead and measured this one already, and we are right there. So I'm going to keep holding this in place and mark my holes. Being careful not to move anything like I just did. Okay, now we can go ahead and take this off. All right, we're getting ready to drill some holes. Let's do some permanent body damage here. Now, obviously, normally you might have carpet in here. We have our carpet removed for some reason, so our well will be really easy to just vacuum out. If you have carpet, you probably want to lay something down to collect the shavings. Looks like we're all clear here of our satellite antenna wiring, because we'll be approximately in this area that we'll have holes poking through, as well as up here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and drill these 2 back holes. And then I'm going to verify my front hole position with my uprights, make sure I didn't shift while I was making my marks, and we'll go from there. All right, now our final hole diameter will be 1/4 inch. I'm going to go ahead and drill a pilot hole. I think this is a 7/64, something a bit smaller to give me a good initial run through. Now for the 1/4 inch. Now I got a couple little shavings in the tape, so I'm going to go ahead and trade out my tape. All right, we got our back holes drilled. I'm gonna go ahead and mount the wing into place using the back holes to verify the positioning of the front. Now we have these spring helpers on the trunk lid, so our lid won't actually stay down. So I'm gonna use a little roll of paper towels here to help me out, but now it's time to mount the wing. Now that I got these back bolts snugged up, there was a little bit of deformation and it did draw the uprights forward just slightly to where our front holes no longer line up. So that is a good confirmation of why we wanted to bolt this up and double check our holes first. We're seeing firsthand that we do need to relocate our holes. So I'm gonna mark again. Maybe and fill in my hole so I know which hole to use or what mark to use. All right, got the wing back off. Let's go ahead and start with some pilot holes using our new marks. Now there are a couple layers. You want to make sure and get through both. So I do have the trunk lid shut just so it doesn't move around on me while I'm drilling. And you are going to feel the drill bit go through multiple layers. So make sure that it doesn't shift or kick, and keep your drill completely upright during this process. So I got the holes drilled from the top. As you can see, we poked through the second layer, and they're not in real practical places to put a nut. We need to gain access to that initial layer of trunk lid metal. So we need to open up these holes to where we can stick a socket with a nut loaded on there into those holes to mount the wing. So I got a 1/2 inch drill bit, which is about as big as most kits come with, and a bigger drill. Now you want to be careful because you are drilling toward the trunk lid skin. If you go too far, you're gonna either dimple or drill through your trunk lid. Not good. The other thing to watch out for is on this guy here, you can kind of see the line where our weather seal rides. We don't want to compromise that. A, it can cut up the weather seal, and B, we don't want to let in moisture or anything like that. So I'm going to be a little careful on this guy here. I'm going to start over here. All right, 3 out of 4 done. This last one is really close to that trunk lid. So I added a little bit of electrical tape, a number of rolls to keep me from plunging too far. Okay. All right, drilling those 1/2 inch holes helped, but it's still not enough to fit our 11mm socket through. We need to accommodate the OD of the 11mm socket. So you can either use a hand file, you can use a Dremel, or in this case, I'm using a air-powered rotary grinder with an aluminum bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up those holes. All right, I got all the holes large enough for the socket to fit in. I'm gonna go ahead and go through and clean up all the holes with a deburring tool, get rid of any sharp little slivers that might be remaining there. Since the trunk lid's aluminum, I'm not gonna worry about painting the holes. All right, now it's time to get ready to install the wing. First up, let's take off all this tape. Now you might notice you have a couple holes through your trunk lid, and there's the possibility of water getting through there. So if you're expecting to drive your car at all in the rain or through a car wash, whatever, you might want to put some RTB sealant around your holes to seal those holes up, keep water from getting in, getting all over whatever's in your trunk. I'm only going to do the holes on the top. These holes on the back side, they dump out onto the rear bumper. They're outside of the trunk seal, so I think they're okay. All right, now since I'm doing this by myself, I'm going to go ahead and get these back bolts mounted up. That way it can kind of rest on them while I get the other holes lined up. So I got some bolts and nuts in my hand. Let's go ahead and get this on. Now I'm not going to get anything fully tight until I have all the bolts installed. I'm just going to get these snugged up a little bit. Okay, I got a little tech tip for you. Getting a nut in there and having it not fall off can kind of be tricky. So I always put a little piece of masking tape over the end of my socket. And then when you put your nut in there, it's got a little more of a wedge fit. It's not going to just fall off. Now we didn't put Loctite on these bolts yet because we plan to take this back off to paint it. When we go to reinstall it, we will put Loctite on all these just to be sure. I'm gonna go ahead and snug everything up. Now the wing is on the car. We have a few more steps to do. That is installing our end plates and setting our angle of attack. So we'll do that now. Now before we actually put the end plates on, this would be the time you'd want to install your gurney flaps. Now we have a few different options of those depending on your application. So we're not going to install a gurney flap, at least for the time being, so we're going to go ahead and mount our end plates. Now you are going to reuse the hardware that was holding on the protective plywood ends of the wing. Now we found it fits the best if you have the little 9 Lives icon toward the front of the wing. Now it's a 1/8 Allen tool to tighten those down. All right, now I'm going to just give a very brief overview of angle of attack. Angle of attack is the angle of the wing as it goes through the air. Right now you can see ours is actually fairly aggressive. We're at a little over 10 degrees. That's probably not where we want it, but like I mentioned earlier, we just did that while we were mounting the wing. We can make adjustments as needed later. So how to measure it is you want a level and probably a straight edge. And you just want to lay the straight edge across and see what the level tells you. Now we do have a chart on our website formulated by 9 Lives in their testing that shows the angle of attack and the resulting drag and downforce it creates. Now since this car is going to mostly see street use and we're probably going to play around with the settings some, I am going to back it off to the 0 degree mark and we'll adjust from there. So we just want to loosen the back bolts and remove the front bolts. I did leave one bolt in place, it didn't drop on me. So just with this one bolt, I can set my wing about where I want it. Place my bolt. Okay, we're sitting at about 1/2 degree. So that's good enough for me right now. So I'll get this all tightened back up so we're ready. And since we're going to leave the wing here probably for a little while, I'm going to add a drop of Loctite to all the hardware. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us while we installed this wing. If you have any questions or comments, please give us a call or send us an email. We'll have links to this product in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to us. Until next time, see you later.